Hi there, YouTubers. Welcome to my channel and welcome to the video. So as promised, I would like to, read and review a bit of, one of the most famous, one of the most famous books, authored by Uncle Grant Cardone. Well, in fact, I did a highly similar video in the past, though somehow I couldn't find the raw video files in my hard drive. Well, as a matter of fact, yes, I did find them. I did find them, though I just don't bother to merge them and edit them, and then add the both the intro and the outro. It just consumes too much of my brain processing power and time and my physical strength. And on the other hand, it was quite it was filmed quite some time ago. In fact, probably 6 months ago. Well, I'm not sure if I filmed them before or after my grandma's passing, but it's just quite a long time ago, and I don't want to make I don't want to make it an awkward looking undertaking by publishing a video that was filmed more than half a year ago, and it's just it just doesn't look nice. So instead, I would like to to start a new in regards to such topic. So without further ado, let's practice my lousy British posh accent by reading and reviewing a bit of some fragments of this book, 10x Rule, authored by Uncle Grant Cardone. So yeah, maybe we should get started by chapter 13, I suppose. Yeah, chapter 13, go all in and overcommit. Now that I hopefully have rehabilitated your opinion about the nature of obsession, let's discuss what we have to do to get you to go all in on every action and fully commit to every opportunity. Most people are familiar with the all-in concept as a poker term. It's what takes place when a player puts all of his chips at risk and either gets knocked out or doubles up. Though I'm not talking about money or chips here, I'm referring to a much more important bet: your efforts, creativity, energy, ideas, and persistence. Massive action is not like a poker table. You never run out of action chips in life or use up all your energy and effort by committing yourself. The most valuable chips you have are your mindset, actions, persistence, and creativity. You can go all in with energy as many times as you want. Because even if you fail, you can keep going all in, followed by an exclamation mark. So yeah, well, in fact, I have tried so hard to go all in tonight, to fully commit myself to a couple of side projects. I try so hard to use as a leverage to offset the recent failures of my business back in Australia. Well, I can't for the sake of my channel's presence and integrity, and for the sake of confidentiality and professionalism, I can't talk much about those the nature of those side projects that I'm currently trying to commit to myself, in order to make them as fruitful as they can be. Although yes, they have something to do with blockchains, anonymous payment systems, and machine learning and etc. Other than that, I can't say more. But yeah, over committing, sounds quite like a tall order nowadays. With everything considered, since our hard work doesn't often and fairly get paid off, much less always gets paid off. So it's just nowadays much easier to retreat and hide in the closet, or just hide in our own bubbles of comfort, and plus in the meantime meditate and continue meditating on the shitty nature of our lives, which I have been doing quite frequently. I don't actually deny to the fact that I more often than not adopt and hiding in the sand dunes approach. Whenever I meet setbacks and failures along the way. So yeah. Resuming, most of society discourages the all-in mentality because we are taught to play it safe and not to put everything at risk. We are encouraged to conserve and protect ourselves from losses rather than to go for the big payoff. The giants on this planet are willing to make the big plays. This mindset is yet again based on the myth that your energy, creativity, and efforts are material things with limited quantities that cannot be replaced. There are certain things in life that have limits, but you don't unless you impose limits on yourself. It is vital that you get your head completely reworked about taking action, and that you understand that there is no limit to how many times you can continue to take action. You can fail or succeed as many times as you want and then do it over and over again. Also, you can't ever hit it out of the park if you don't initially make contact and swing for the fences, and you will never hit it big if you don't discipline yourself to be all in when you don't take action. Yeah, so actions, well, excuse me. So the fact that, you know, fear of stumbling into another series of setbacks and failures, you know, um, usually, impedes, hard work and a persistent series of action taken, in order to make things happen. So so far, yes, I have to say that Uncle Grant does nailed it, right on the wall here so far. Um, and not to mention that I first got to know Uncle Grant Cardone, more than like three years ago, and I purchased two hard two hard copies of such book, 10x rule. Though they never get, it never gets physically delivered, to me. Um, Personally, I bought one for myself and one for a friend of mine back in Australia. Um, but that's would certainly qualify, for another video, as as a rather mundane, side note or side quest, side story, or side anecdote, more or less. Resuming, we have all heard the fable of the tortoise and the hare. The implied lesson, of course, is that the tortoise wins because he plods along and takes his time, whereas the hare rushes, becomes tired, and misses his opportunity to win. We are supposed to derive the meaning that we should be tortoises, individuals who approach our goals steadily and slowly. If there was a third player in the fable who had the speed of the hare and the steadfastness of the tortoise, it would smoke them both and have no competition. The fable would then be called Smoked. The suggestion here is to approach your goals like the tortoise and the hare by attacking them ruthlessly from the beginning and also staying with them throughout the course of the race. Remember, there are no shortages of how many times you can get up and continue. There is no failure unless you quit. It is impossible for you to use up all of your energy or creativity. It is impossible for you to run out of ideas. You never lose the ability to come up with new dreams. Have more energy, think creatively, look at a situation or event differently, give someone another call, use another tactic, or act with persistence. There will always be another hand, another day, and another chance. If the bank you are working with continues to refill you with new supplies of energy, creativity, and persistence, then why not go all in on every hand? Yeah, so long as you replenish your energy and strength, by eating healthy food, sleeping good sleeps, and spending quality time, or probably also spending quality time with quality people. Um, but the problems, well, I beg your pardon if I make it sounds like that I'm trying to look for excuses not to make progress or to succeed in whatever shite I'm trying to do, I'm trying to accomplish. But yeah, I currently don't have access to a whole bunch of healthy and quality food. So probably that's why that's probably that's why I am not yielding as much success as Uncle Grant Cardone told me I would. Or there's or on the other hand, I'm just not using or developing my creativity and imagination effectively. As a result of not being able to consume healthy and quality food. Yeah, but regardless, let's proceed. Entrepreneurs and especially salespeople suffer most when they fail to go all in, a topic I discussed in my first book, Sell to Survive. Many sales professionals give themselves much more credit for trying to close the deal than they deserve and think they are doing so much more often than they actually are. In reality, most never even ask for the order once, much less the supposed 5 times that are necessary. My company was recently hired to conduct a mystery shop campaign for an international company to identify where the breakdowns in the sales process were occurring, which we were trying to collect information on where the franchises needed the most help. We visited more than 500 locations to see what percentage of time the sales force was able to position the client to even ask for an order on the product. To the company's amazement, 63% of the locations shopped never even presented the client with the proposal to purchase, much less ask our mystery shoppers to buy. This company was about to spend millions on a product training program, when in reality, this was not the problem. The franchises and their sales teams feared failure or rejection and never even played a hand, much less went all in. Bingo, yeah. So I kind of, read, Uncle Grant Cardone's mind, fear of rejections, fear of failures, fear of, not having our hard work getting, paid off in a fair and timely manner. Probably, as we age, the tendency, to persevere and and to stay persistent, drops in strength over time. Still, despite another saying, with age comes wisdom, but that, as well, of course, qualifies for another video, at another time, on another day, if God's still willing. Resuming. If a client comes to you or you get a chance to get in front of a client and talk about your product but never present a proposal, I assure you that you will not get the business 100% of the time. society has successfully taught most of us to play it safe rather than to go all in with every customer and every opportunity. This is perpetuated in the business world with things like closing ratios, which supposedly reflect the success rate of a salesperson. I'll tell you what I do. I'm willing to go for it with every customer, every time, and have the lowest closing ratio of everyone for the highest production. All in, I don't care how many times I bust out. I'll just reload my chips and play again. Yeah, so it's, it sounds like that it kind of works like a brute force password cracker, so long as you keep trying, eventually you will get the result you want. Though it just takes an astronomical amount of time, and probably also energy and strength. So that basically, so I suppose this chapter basically advocates for the brute force approach when it comes to trying to sell a product or a service or both to a client or a group of clients. So well, still, that's not the whole picture. Well, I doubt it is the whole picture, since it's just it's merely one chapter of many chapters of the entire book. So let's read on. Think about it. What's the worst thing that can happen to you if you just totally go for it? You may lose the customer, but so what? You still have unlimited resources to give it your all with the next client. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. You simply have to rethink your approach. This brings me to the topic of overcommitting, another frowned upon and misunderstood issue in business today. How many times have you been told? How many times have you been told to undercommit and overdeliver? I have never heard anything so backward and ridiculous. Let's say you are putting on a Broadway show that you are advertising to the public. Should you announce that you have a mediocre cast with just average singing ability and then wait until opening night to overdeliver? Of course not. This phrase suggests that overcommitting, or at the very least fully committing, somehow puts you in danger. If you are then not able to deliver as promised, you will leave the other party dissatisfied. Why not overcommit in your promise, and then exceed by over-delivering as well? Tell everyone about your spectacular Broadway cast, and compel them to see the show for themselves. Overcommit and over-deliver. Yeah, that kind of reminds me of another rather refreshing and somewhat interesting anecdote I came across during the times I spent in my exile / homelessness back in early 2020. I got, in fact, I got paid an extra amount of $100 by a rather happy client, who said that our company did an exceedingly fantastic job in completing the project. So that kind of makes me wonder if we did succeed in you know in over committing and over delivering, you know. Yeah, but still, yeah. Likewise, it also kind of qualifies for another whole new video, due to the limited amount of energy and strength and time I currently have, for this particular filming session. I shall shelf it, for next time if God's still willing. So let's read on. I find that the greater the commitment I make to a client, the higher my level of delivery naturally. I find that the greater the commitment I make to a client, the higher my level of delivery naturally becomes. It is as though I'm promising to both them and myself to reach new levels of what I'm able to do for them. The more energy I devote to the markets, my clients, or my family, the more intent I am upon delivering exactly what I said I was going to. This, of course, goes back to acting with 10x effort rather than 1x effort. It's easy for someone to claim to be giving 110% but then fail to fully commit, either because that person is playing it safe or is afraid that he or she won't perform to the level necessary. A common problem that almost every business faces is the tendency to increase appointments in order to present a product or idea. People who request an appointment aren't willing to overcommit to the person who has to give up his or her valuable time in order to see them. Grand claims, overcommitment, and extreme promises will immediately separate you from the masses and therefore force you to deliver at 10x levels. The only way to increase appointments is to increase the number of people to whom you speak, and then amplify the reasons why they should make time for you. Yeah, so bingo, It's just that kind of also reminds me of another saying. The harder I work, the luckier I tend to get. Yeah. So yeah, just keep trying, keep rethinking your approaches and methodologies. Whenever you hit a stumbling block, whenever you hit a pitfall, it all a process, or I should say a roadmap of growing and thriving and development for a man, for a boy to grow into a fairly or reasonably competent and mature man, vitally consists of trials and errors and persistence. Plus, I might add a bit of faith in yourself, or slash some positive mindset, faith. So that also kind of reminds me, another verse from the Bible, in particular. From the epistle of Paul the Apostle to the Hebrews, chapter 11. In the very beginning, Hebrews chapter 11, KJV. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying of his gifts. And by it he, being dead, yet speaketh. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because God had translated him. For before his translation he had this testimony, that he pleased God. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world, and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. By faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. And blah blah blah. Yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, let's read on. The same goes for every step of the sales process, whether it involves follow-up, flyers, regular mail, emails, social media, phone calls, personal visits, events, meetings, or any other action you take. Overcommit your energy, resources, creativity, and persistence. Know that you are all in on every activity. Every time you take action, every day you're in business. Yeah, so I guess I haven't tried flyers, regular mail, and regular flows of emails. Of course, with prior consent from those potential leads or a bunch of clienteles. I at least once or twice got in touch with. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Though due to my current circumstance, it pretty much makes personal visits. It pretty much renders personal visits quite impossible. At least back to Australia. At least back physically back to Australia. But I shall keep trying nevertheless. Yeah, per Uncle Grant Cardone's advice. Yeah, I like this. Every time you take action, every time you are in business. Yeah, Uncle Grant, you nailed it. Yeah, now you might worry, as so many people do, about not being able to deliver, and that is certainly a problem. However, as we discussed earlier, you need new problems. There are signs that you are making progress and heading in the right direction. Learn to commit first and figure out how to show up later. Most people simply never bother to perform and instead spend their time trying to wrap their heads around things that may never happen for them. Anyone who doesn't face new problems, but who instead grapples with the same old problems, his or her whole life isn't moving forward. Simply put, if you are not creating new problems for yourself, then you aren't taking enough action. Yeah, so based according to Uncle Grant Cardon's, statements and writings. While I am, yes, kind of taking, a fairly, adequate level of actions, since I do, I do keep getting some new problems, pertaining to my business undertakings throughout the whole globe, including but are not limited to Australia, over the past several years. Yeah, so let's read on. You need to face new issues and dilemmas that will challenge you to keep finding and creating solutions. Wouldn't it be nice if you had too many people to see at 2 p.m. or if you had a line outside your restaurant because there were so many people waiting for a table? One of the major differences between successful and unsuccessful people is that the former look for problems to resolve, whereas the latter make every attempt to avoid them. So remember, overcommit, be all in, and take massive levels of action followed up by massive amounts of more actions. You will create new problems and deliver at levels that will amaze even you. Then we have the exercise. Yeah, well, for the sake of, not hitting a nerve of YouTube's community guidelines, I will not read them, or narrate them here. But instead, I will kind of, use that as an some sort of, bait, bait or some sort of luring tactic, to inspire you guys, to buy and read the book yourself, Well, so yeah, so there you have it. My reviews and my lousy narration of chapter 13. Go all in and overcommit for Uncle Grant, for one of the most famous books authored by Uncle Grant Cardon, 10x Rule. So yeah, I better go and grab myself some food, since I am so starving right now. Yeah, I should go and grab myself some food to replenish energy and strength and focus, so that I can continue to make, so that I can continue to create fresh and slightly inspiring and encouraging contents for you guys and for myself, to stay afloat, to stay in business, to stay in action, so that we won't drown in our depression / shit life syndromes. So thank you very much for watching and listening to this video. And yeah, if God's still willing, until next time, I hope to see you guys in my next videos on YouTube, on BitChute, on Rumble, on Mikau.tv, etc. So until next time, if God's still willing, take care, stay safe. Au revoir. Bye. Cheers.